Welcome back to Crossroads, our day tripping segment, and we are at the Grissom Air Museum.
Yeah, it's in Peru or near Peru, one county over from Grant County. And Stephanie, as I'm looking at kind of all these aircraft back here, I'm thinking if you're an aviation buff of any type, you really need to check this place out.
There really are a lot of airplanes out here, and there's a lot of history and also a lot of stories that go along with them. The Grissom Air Museum sits at the entrance to the Grissom Air Reserve Base just outside of Peru, Indiana on US 31. The museum's wide array of planes represents military aircraft from World War II to the recent conflicts in the Persian Gulf. The exhibits building offers guests an interactive experience with simulators, historic memorabilia, and cockpits you can climb in. But grounded planes aren't all you'll see. Climb the observation tower to watch KC-135s take off from the nearby base runway.
Well, Richard Muchler is the facilities coordinator here at Grissom. Richard, we've got a beautiful, what is that, a World War II aircraft there behind us?
Yeah, more modern era. It's a B-47, and it was a Cold War era airplane.
So this is a museum that's indoors, and then you come outdoors and you've got all these wonderful aircraft out here. What's it like keeping up with these various things?
Well, it's a job. We have 26 static display airplanes out here in the park, and we have quite a job keeping them clean and keeping them look good, and so that when the public comes in, they have a good impression of what our airplanes look like.
When people come, I've noticed with any kind of aviation museum or things like that, there's a fascination, there's a history to it. What are some of the stories that people come and want to relive?
Well, we have a lot of World War II vets that come in because they're B-17 buffs and they want to see the B-17, and we have some Vietnam era vets that come because we have the Huey helicopter that was the mainstay in Vietnam, and they want to see the helicopter, and then they just come out here and wander around and look at all the rest of the airplanes. Our most rare airplane is our B-58. There's only 8 of them left in the world, and ours is the oldest of the 8 that are left. So we have a history of every airplane. We have some neat signs on all the airplanes that tell a little bit about each one of the signs, and then we also have a handout that we'll give to the people so that they can read a little bit about each one of the airplanes that they look at out here.
What's the neatest thing or the draw that's going to get people here if they're thinking, how do I spend a half day here? What's going to be the one thing that they should come thinking?
Well, I think they have to think about the history, and I had a gentleman that lived next to me when I first started working out here, and he came out and looked at all the airplanes out here, and one of the things he said to me that I thought that I really remember all the time is he says, you know what I see out here? And I says, no, Bob. I said, what do you see out here? And he says, freedom. So you have to think that this is what kept America free for all these years, and so that's kind of one of the things that I thought's kind of neat about the whole story.
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of old aircraft sitting around.
Not
it
just
represents
a bunch of
stories.
Old airplanes. It's freedom.
It represents freedom. Richard Muchler, facilities coordinator at Grissom, where history comes alive as you walk around. As fighter jets fly overhead, the outside exhibit feels like a military tarmac where at any moment the planes might take off for a new mission. The airfield has over 25 historic planes, each with a plaque detailing the importance and role the aircraft played during its time in service. When you walk next to these planes, you appreciate the size and complexity of their engineering. Young or old, there's something here for everyone to appreciate. Well, Stephanie, when you get out here and walk around, what strikes you is how huge some of these aircraft are.
This one in particular is so tall, I think I could walk straight underneath it.
Well, this is called the K-97L Strato Tanker. The Air Force refers to it as a flying gas station. You kind of see they used it many, many years for a lot of important purposes.
Well, they aren't all this tall, but one thing's for sure, you can get up close and personal with every plane. Inside the museum, guests encounter aviation pioneers like the Wright brothers and Army heroes like William Kepner. There are also interactive experiences for all ages. Kids can climb through the air intakes of a Phantom F4 or crawl in an Army chopper. And as Richard Muchler showed me, kids of all ages can try out the Wright brothers plane simulator. The commitment to preserving and sharing our military's aviation history is what the Grissom Air Museum is all about.
Stephanie, one thing is for sure, they would not let us anywhere near a real aircraft.
Although I did get to fly a simulator, so I think I did get a little closer than you did.
You did get a little closer, but they will let you sit in the cockpit here and find out what it's like in some of these vintage aircraft for the pilots.
And that's all for Day Trippin' this week at the Grissom Air Museum near Peru.
Be sure to check it out, and we'll be back in a moment with more Crossroads.